Hi everyone. Today I am going to tell you a story that is from Mahabharata series, and this is the fifth one. This story I read it in from Sanskrit version Mahabharata, and then I wrote it. Now I am telling you. I wrote on my own style. So this is the name of my story is Shantanu. Well, let me begin my story. Rishi Vaishyampayan said, O King Janmejay, among all your ancestors, most of the kings were very virtuous, powerful, and great warriors. And Shantanu was one among them. Then he began his narration about Shantanu. Long ago, there was a very powerful and great warrior in Kuru race. His name was Prati. He was ruling the Hastinapur. And he was blessed with an equally radiant son whose name was Shantanu. In due course of time, Shantanu ascended the throne since Pratip to Vanaprastha. Shantanu became very powerful. He was also very virtuous, truthful, and free from anger and malice. He ruled over his kingdom very peacefully. People loved him and his kingship. Once Shantanu went for hunting in the jungle. While roaming around in the jungle, he felt a little tired. And at that time, he found a river, and that was Ganga. Of course, he knew that it was Ganga river. So he thought that he would take a little rest and then he will start. So he rested there. At that time, a beautiful girl caught his sight. Beautiful means extremely beautiful. King Shantanu was very much attracted. Shantanu was very much attracted by her beauty. So he immediately asked, O divine lady, O beautiful lady, please, would you like to marry me? Then Ganga smiled and she said, that time Shantanu didn't know who she was, because without knowing her identity, he just asked her, proposed her. So Ganga smiled and she said, O king, I shall marry you, but if you agree to keep my conditions. By that time, Shantanu was so much engrossed and so much captivated by her beauty, he immediately said, as you wish. That means he agreed to keep all her conditions. Then Ganga started. She smiled and in a very melodious voice Ganga said, O noble king, just remember the conditions. You will never interfere my work, whatsoever it is. You will never oppose any of my acts, and you will never raise a question, who am I and whence I come, and never use a harsh word to me. The day you do any one of these, no longer I will be with you. And King Shantanu was not in his own sense. He lost his sense with her beauty. So immediately he said, I will keep all your conditions. And he took a vow that he agreed whatever conditions Ganga said. And after that, they got married. Ganga became the queen of Shantanu. They spent so many years very happily. And Shantanu was blessed with 8 sons. But the day the babies were born, immediately Ganga took them and threw them on the river Ganga. Then Shantanu was very much surprised कि how come a mother kill her own babies? But since he took the oath, means he vowed, he didn't raise a question. At last, when the 8th baby, Ganga just carrying the 8th baby to throw on the water, at that time Shantanu couldn't resist his anger. He immediately said, why are you killing your own babies, you witch? How can you do that? The word he uttered, Ganga retorted immediately, O king, I do not belong to you any longer. Just remember, I am not doing any sin. All these 8 babies were no other than celestial Vasus. They were cursed by the Brahmarshi Vasisht, because of which they requested me to be their mother and to make them free the moment they would born. That is why I was carrying the newborn babies and I came for their rescue. And this 8th baby is the main culprit, because of which he has to live for a longer time. But right now, I will take my child, and when the time will come, I will return your baby to you. For the time being, I am going. At that time, Shantanu was so stunned, he didn't have any word. Then immediately he said, O divine lady, please, please, tell me who are you and why you are doing all these things. Then Ganga said, O noble king, I am Ganga, daughter of Janhu, who is worshipped by the Devas, Gandharvas and the whole universe. Only because the Vasus requested me, that is why I was making them free. Otherwise, I am not doing any sin. Well, if you want why this had happened, then I am telling you the story. Just listen to me carefully. Then she began. One day, the 8 Vasus went to Mount Meru just to see the beauty of that mountain. And they are the greatest, one of the great Brahmarshi Vasishta's hermitage stood. So they just looked at everywhere, and the atmosphere, the environment, everything was so peaceful. They were stunned by that beauty of that mountain Meru. When they were roaming around at that time, Vasishta was not in his abode, but his cow Nandini, she was a celestial divine cow. Cow Nandini and her cow, they both were moving around freely. And the 8th Vasu Dyonai, his wife wanted to take that cow Nandini. All the Vasus told her not to do this type of sin, but she didn't agree and persuaded her husband Dyonai to take that Nandini and her calf for her. At last, since she insisted, the Vasus had stolen the cow and her calf. When Vasishtha returned to his own hermitage, he didn't find the cow or the calf. He was Brahmarshi. So with his celestial power, he could come to know that the Vasus had done this sin, means abduction. He got furious and immediately caused them to burn in human form. And that is the reason why they became your son. They came to earth. But one day they came to me and requested me to be their mother and to make them free the moment they will born. That is why I was carrying them and I was throwing on the river Ganga. Whatever it is, now this is since I have seen that you are very much anxious to get one heir apparent, and this one is the 8th Vasu, Dyonai, and he has to live for a longer time. So he will be with you, but he will be the most virtuous, most strongest, and the wisest among all the Kuru race. I will take my child now, and when time will come, I'll give you back your child. Saying this, Ganga disappeared, vanished from Shantanu's eye. After her departure, Shantanu felt very bad because he knew that Ganga was a divine lady and very nice to him. Whatever it is, he already did the mistake, so he couldn't do anything. He came back to his kingdom. He passed his time with grief, but never neglected his kingship. Once again, he came for hunting to a jungle. After chasing a deer, he came across Ganga again. He was just walking on the side. That time, he was surprised to see that the flow of Ganga was shrunk. He couldn't think that how is it possible that the flow of Ganga had shrunk. He then walked a little ahead. There he saw a young boy holding a bow and arrow. He was just putting the arrows on the river Ganga, and that made the flow of water shrunk. He was very much surprised because he couldn't recognize, because he had seen his son only for few minutes. But Devabrata, son of Ganga and Shantanu, he could, although he was a very young boy, but he could recognize his father and just made some magic that he also disappeared from his eyesight. Shantanu was very much worried. He wanted to ask the boy, but the boy had already vanished. So he just requested Ganga, "Oh Ganga, please show me yourself." Then Ganga again came in a human form, stood before Shantanu. Her beauty was, there is no word to describe her beauty. She was looking so gorgeous. Holding her son's hand, Ganga stood in front of Shantanu. Shantanu then looked at the boy. He said that, "Who is he?" Ganga smiled and said, "O king, this one is the 8th Vasu Devanai. Dyonai. And that time I took him with me, and now this is the time he should go with you. And remember, he has learned all the Vedas and Vedantas from best of the Gurus, from Brihaspati, Vasishtha and Sukracharya. And he is very much learned and very powerful, and he has learned all the art of war. There is no weapon in this world, in 3 worlds like Swarg, Marth and Patal, that is beyond his knowledge. And invincible Lord Parshuram also taught him how to use the weapons. So now he is fit for you and to go with you. He will be your heir apparent. I have kept his name as Devabrata. Please take him and install him as the Yuvraj." Shantanu was very happy. He held his son's hand, and this Devabrata, in due course of time, named as Bhishma. After saying all these things and handing over her son, Ganga disappeared. Shantanu felt very bad missing his divine wife, but at least he was very happy getting back his own son, Devabrata. Now this much is for Shantanu, and the next one will be Bhishma episode. Thank you.